And we are back with the final game of the World Championship 2024, Carl M versus Federzoni. We have already seen the game on all that glitters and the game on two sides, so now it's 1-1 and there's the final match now on Ruegenwalder. Let's jump straight into it, I guess. So this is maybe one of the most, when not the most,
Battle control
exciting
initialized.
match of the tournament. So both players have picked the middle position. I think they agree to pick any on your side. I think it's a good choice because you can just space crawl onto this spot here and then get to this spot also very easily. Yeah, I mean, this is an obvious opening here. You don't need as many refineries as on the other maps. Still, they go for... No, he has 3, he has 4. You can spam a bit more warp spheres here because from the blue minerals or blue tiberium, you get more resources per harvester round. So I think makes sense here. Good decision. And if we look at the earnings, of course on this map we have an absolutely steep curve. I think he's already limited by his silo capacity. Oh, there's the first fights starting. This is interesting because usually this big blob of infantry is easy to stop, so let's see what's happening here. Because it's quite a long path to go, and the counters against pure infantry, they exist. Oh yeah, there's a lot of corruptors. They are already upgraded for range, so they will easily handle this infantry. Easily, as you see here. Yeah, this is a no-brainer. I mean, the attack is just not good, but the defense is easy. So, if we look at the army value, I think... Okay, it might not be factored in yet. Yeah, okay, so there's just a small bend in the curve, so it's still fine. Is he going for the next push? It looks like. Okay, we already have bombers up here. That's, I guess, one of the main reasons why Federzoni has such a strong GDI play. It's the constant pressure on economy and production with bombers. I think it's one of his biggest strengths, that he keeps pressure on land and on air as well. So, but doesn't look like he's putting pressure on him. So here we see now Seekers, unupgraded, Gunwalker with sensors, obvious. And we get a big lot of Storm Riders. So I don't think these are for intercepting the bombers. He wants to go with them for the main targets like construction yards and try to take him out from the air. It's a typical play we see from Carl M. Oh, now action will start. Bombers are coming from here, bombers are coming from here, some orcas in the mix. Okay, bombers now try to take out the gravity stabilizers. I think that's a really bad choice. Power Pro plans is much better. Okay, here we go for repair bay. He goes for another power plant. As it looks, yes, takes it down, but he's still up with power. So he's definitely losing more value, much more value in bombers than what he did in damage to the buildings. Sometimes it can still be worth it because buildings take a time to build and you slow down the production, you just trade money now versus the future. So the opponent will have a slower growth, will produce less units, so it can make sense. Especially on this map, money's not that important. You usually get enough. You can just waste money like crazy just in order to be in an advantageous position regarding production of army and putting pressure on the opponent. Now there's even more bombers being prepared to dive into the enemy base. I think the bombers would also do a very good job against this army. Maybe he's even doing a disfavor to himself by putting these bombers down here instead of just letting them roll in here, because they would wreak havoc. So many slightly armored units. Okay, he has a lot of interlopers. So the interlopers would be easy to take down the bombers. Bombers to idling. Here's a full-fledged fight going on. GDI does not really find a way into this army, even though he has some very good options. But the Corruptors have point defense level. Not all of them, but some have it. Which is a big problem for these juggernauts. So once the artillery shells are intercepted, different story. Now the bombers come up on top. That's very cool. So yeah, that's still very good. I mean, the bombers did not really fire into the army, but just by suiciding and throwing a few napalm bombs already made a value. This is awesome. Let's go for a bit of speed up. This fight is sure to be lost for the GDI player here. So overall, I think GDI trades worse here. Wastes more resources in fights. If you just have a look at it. Yes, GDI has like lost almost double the value of units, but it doesn't really matter because GDI just has more income. No, not really. So this should translate into a bigger army craft. Yeah. So the screen player has a bigger army here, and the air units, if they're low numbers, absolutely no danger, but once they start to accumulate a big size and they synergize with each other, nothing comes close to them, you have some point defense lasers below, then they become a death ball. Really hard to stop for GDI here. I mean, hard to stop for most factions. But GDI with these orcas, they're not even up AP orcas, so no way. These orcas won't make it. The army craft says it all. Screen player is now in for a push that we don't know if he can survive this. He needs rocket mercenaries, many more of them. The Mammoth MK2, yeah, they are not that bad, especially for taking out the PDLs on the bottom, on below the air units, but there is no real anti-air here that's able to stop this big power of yours. Yeah, this is... Are they now upgraded? No. Still no armor piercing missiles. I think this, for GDI, this is not possible to win this here at this point. So... yeah, he's basically kiting and just trying to deal as much damage as possible from afar. Just a go-to strategy here. He has also hexapods below. Really awesome unit, the spiders here with an acid. And at this point it's obvious GDI cannot stop him. He's trying it with Vulcans, which is not a good idea here, especially for the planetary assault warships that shoot these lasers, these, purple lasers, and here the game is freezing. Unfortunately, the game crashed, or some computer just shut down at this point. I think it was the computer of the screen player, and then both were arguing and discussing what they would do, and they agreed that it looked really good for the screen player, so really good sportsmanship here from the GDI player. And then they agreed to just replay the game on the same map, same settings, everything the same. I think there would be no chance at this point for GDI to win this. It was over here. So now let's just hop into the second game of 2.
Terminated.
As this is basically
Battle control
now
initialized.
not a valid game. I think yes, we have seen this one. Oh my god, how many are there? I'm a bit confused. But it cannot crash many. Wait a second. This is the same game. This is another one. I think this is the one. The other game is from the other player, or maybe I watch it as a spectator. That's why I have to replay. So same settings, but should be the final game of the 2. This basically determines who will be in the finals, I guess. Let's speed it up a little bit because the beginning is the same as the last game, obviously. Maybe someone has learned from here, especially GDI should realize that the Vulcans are definitely not what he needs for the air unit, since the planetary assault warships, they fire these giant anti-tank lasers, armor-piercing lasers. So, and the Vulcans are heavy armored, which is usually quite good against air units. Bombers and such, heavy armor is nice, but not against the planetary warships that have armor-piercing lasers. And they deal light damage with the machine guns, with the Gatling, which is okay against fast air units, but it's not good against slow and heavy air units that have heavy armor. There we need missiles, we need something that packs a heavy punch and can pierce the armor. And the Gatling is not good at that. That's 1000 extra cash. So now they're sitting it out even more than in the game beforehand. Yeah, the earnings are very similar. The Army Craft Skrin is already leaping ahead. Many more air units now, these Storm Riders. So this means Federzoni is basically not transferring all the money into units, yeah. So income is quite similar on both sides, but Screenplay has spent so much more. Okay, but he has also earned more, so that's fair. His economy is just better. Spends more, he makes more. Army's bigger, I guess. Yes, army's bigger. And we will see basically the same units. We have skipped these early rush that did not do much. We see quite similar units on the GDI side. Railgun Titans, of course, are good, but against this army won't help. Battle tanks with PDL, okay, cool, but won't help. Orcas can help, but need armor-piercing missiles, I think, to really deal damage. Now we have more rocket mercenaries. That's good, actually. That's what he needs, especially with the sensor arrays. They get more range. That's really, really helpful. Because that's the biggest problem. They are squishy as hell as infantry units. But once they get shooting on these units and take out the air units, then it gets interesting. Also, of course, if he can land an EMP missile in here and disable all these shields, he can take down the air units like nothing. So, oh, here we see another interesting fight. The Storm Riders try to inflict a lot of damage on the Harvesters, I guess. But the Orcas take them down very, very well. Okay, this was a great defense against this air raid. The units are moving in. The sensor arrays should just stand and build up, but okay. He's now moving the units in catastrophically. He's just losing everything in a couple of seconds. We cannot say minutes here, it's seconds. This was, I think, a horrible disaster of a fight. once we see the army graph, I think the gap will have widened. So, from my perspective here, there's no way Skrin is not gonna win this. This is just... We just see the same stuff from last game. The Vulcans again, the Vulcans, which are an anti-air unit, but not against heavy air. Especially not against the planetary assault warships. These are properly countered by reflector armor and rocket infantry. The Orcas are easy targets. Okay, but the Orcas have inflicted some damage, not too bad. He fended them off for the moment. Orcas coming back for another round. Oh, all the Orcas will die. Okay, he is retreating at least. Okay, it's now basically nothing's happening. They sit it out, the army gap is wide. We have an army of almost 500k value, rather 300k. It will be horrible. GDI will just be wiped out. Nice use of suppressive field. And then now GDI, I don't know, they will drop down to 200k, which is mostly the stuff that's standing around here. I mean, he will move it all up, and the rocket mercenaries are great. But until they are up there, they will just already stand in the middle of the base. Okay, now he's too afraid to go in. No, he's gonna push through. So, and now he's moving in the units one by one. That's a horrible mistake here. He's just wasting units. But I mean, the hexapods are great against infantry, I guess. He must use all these units together and not just move them in. Okay, he just gave up. So this means Karl M has won, he makes it up into the next round, and Federzoni is in the loser bracket. As far as I remember the tree. Yeah, so thanks for watching, and see you next time.